No life endures forever. No death is without meaning. Every ending gives rise to another beginning. This is how nature maintains her balance. And that balance has never once changed. On the East African savanna, as the sun clears the horizon, a familiar silhouette emerges atop a rocky outcrop. A male lion lies there, his mane stirring loosely in the hot wind. The male lion is often called the king of beasts. But on the savanna, the crown is not fashioned from gold, it is forged from scars, from blood, and from sleepless nights. Nearby, the pride's females rest beneath the scattered acacia trees. They have recently given birth tiny, fragile creatures whose eyes have barely opened, whose legs can scarcely hold them. In truth, it is the lionesses who are the real hunters. They coordinate as a unit, fan into formation, and bring down prey many times their own body weight. The male shoulders one burden alone, the defense of the territory. And on the savanna, defense means being prepared to die. Each night, his roar carries across 5 miles of open grassland, not a boast of strength, but a warning to any rival who dares approach. Yet, out there, young nomadic males are wandering, growing stronger, waiting for the day he weakens. The reign of a male lion lasts, on average, just 2 to 3 years. After that, a younger, more powerful challenger will come, and everything he has built may collapse in a single night. But today, he is still king. And the pride is hungry. Not far from the lions, another creature is absorbed in the business of the day. The warthog, one of the most widespread wild pigs across Africa's grasslands and open woodlands, They are, it must be said, rather distinctive in appearance. A broad, heavy head, a long, flattened snout, and prominent, fleshy warts made of cartilage upon the face. It is these curious growths, of course, that give the warthog its name. Warthogs are omnivores, though the bulk of their diet consists of grasses, roots, tubers, and wild fruits. When foraging, they adopt a posture quite unlike any other, dropping to their front knees and using that tough, reinforced snout to plow through the earth in search of buried roots and tubers. Their curved tusks serve double-duty, efficient digging tools and formidable weapons of last resort when cornered. Warthogs typically live in small family groups, most commonly a mother and her young. Adult males tend to live alone or form loose bachelor bands. On the savanna, warthogs feature on the menu of a great many predators: lions, leopards, cheetahs, wild dogs, and hyenas among them. Their primary survival strategy is simple: detect danger early and run like the devil. When they flee, their tails spring bolt upright like little antennae, allowing members of the group to track one another through the tall grass. The grass stands belly high. A lioness presses herself flat against the earth, eyes locked on the target. The warthog roots at the soil, oblivious. The golden shadow tightens. Then 109 degrees Fahrenheit. Dried grass burns yellow all the way to the horizon, trembling beneath heat waves like an ocean boiling away. The East African sun does not shine, it presses down, heavy, blinding white, without mercy. This is the Serengeti, the largest open-air arena on the planet, where there are no walls, no caves, no shadows to shelter behind. "30,000 square miles of grassland stretching from the foot of Kilimanjaro to the shores of Lake Victoria, a vast golden carpet where every blade of grass is soaked in blood." Here, prey can see death approaching from over a mile away, and death can see them too. Nothing is hidden. No one is spared. Because right in the heart of this scorching arena, a ruthless chain of power operates from the panicked leap of the smallest prey to the sky-splitting roar of the one who sits on the throne. At the lowest tier, impalas live every second as though it were their last. Weighing 90 to 140 pounds, their sleek, reddish-brown coats gleaming under the sun, impalas are biological sculptures engineered for one single purpose: escaping death. Their leaps reach 33 feet in length and 10 feet in height, a perfect parabola slicing through the hot air. When one leaps, the entire herd erupts, 20, 30, 50 bodies launching simultaneously like fireworks made of bone and muscle. A predator's eyes cannot lock onto a target when 50 targets take flight at once. Chaos by design. But chaos is not always enough, because the creature chasing them is the most perfect speed machine that 4 billion years of evolution has ever built. The cheetah. Weighing just 80 to 140 pounds lighter than every other big cat, because every excess ounce is a fraction of a second lost. Its spine curves like a drawn bow, stretching and contracting with every stride, extending each step to 23 feet, from a standstill to 60 miles per hour in 3 flat seconds. Faster than any supercar ever manufactured. semi-retractable claws dig into the ground like sprinting spikes. A long flat tail pivots mid-stride at top speed. Every detail on its body serves a single word: faster. But speed demands a brutal price. After every chase, the cheetah's body temperature rockets to 106 degrees Fahrenheit, the threshold where brain cells begin to die. "15 seconds, that is the entire time budget the cheetah is allowed to spend. If the prey is still running after 15 seconds, the cheetah must stop, lie panting under the sun, and accept empty-handed defeat. Success rate: just 4 to 5 out of every 10 attempts. The fastest on the planet, yet also the most fragile among the big cats. Pure speed is never enough when you lack the strength to keep what you have won. But not every creature chooses to run. Some choose to stand and turn their own bodies into weapons. The ostrich, the largest bird on Earth, weighing up to 300 pounds, too heavy to fly, but far from helpless. Muscular legs deliver kicks with enough force to crush a lion's skull and reach speeds of 43 miles per hour on the ground, faster than any land bird alive. The largest eyes of any land animal, about 2 inches in diameter, scan the savanna and detect enemies from nearly 2 miles away when they are still mere specks on the horizon. Males defend their nests with primal fury, spreading wings spanning 6.5 feet, charging headlong into intruders. In the savanna's chain of fear, the ostrich proves you do not need to fly to dominate. You just need to be too large, too fast, too dangerous for anyone to dare underestimate. Then comes the river of life, the wildebeest. Over 1.5 million migrate every year, tracing a circle of nearly 2,000 miles through the Serengeti and the Masai Mara, the greatest overland march still remaining on Earth. Weighing 260 to nearly 600 pounds, they move like a black ocean hooves, pounding dust into the sky, the thundering rhythm rumbling underground like war drums of an army with no general. Strength lies in sheer numbers. One wildebeest is a meal. 1.5 million is a catastrophe for anyone foolish enough to charge into the current. But within that river, there is always the weakest, the aged, the young, the sick, falling behind. And that is all the one at the top needs. The lioness, the true hunter of the savanna. Weighing 260 to 400 pounds, smaller than the male but faster, more precise and more ruthless in every hunting maneuver. They never hunt alone, 2, 3, sometimes 6, forming tactical formations like a special operations unit across the grasslands. One group flushes the wildebeest herd from the front, forcing the stampede. Another flanks from both sides, closing the distance. The pounce targets the prey's flank, pulling it down, pinning it, clamping onto the throat, squeezing until the chest stops rising. But the African savanna is not the only place where evolution has carved a chain of fear. Nearly 9,000 miles away, on the other side of the Atlantic, another furnace burns where the chain of power does not operate under blinding light, but hides in darkness, crawls underground, and whispers in absolute silence. Ground temperature hits 177 degrees Fahrenheit. Air rises like steam off a red-hot skillet, bending the horizon into trembling ripples. This is the Sonoran Desert, the largest furnace in North America, over 100,000 square miles of sand, rock, and cactus, stretching from Arizona through California, cutting across Mexico. Nothing survives here. At least, that is what everyone thinks. Because the Sonoran is nature's greatest paradox, the hottest desert in North America, yet also the wettest, receiving rain in 2 seasons, generating biodiversity that no other arid landscape can match. Over 2,000 plant species root themselves in the parched earth. Over 350 bird species tear through the scorching sky. Over 60 mammal species prowl in the darkness. More than 100 reptile species slide across the burning sand. But biodiversity also means more prey, and more predators wanting to eat them. In the hottest desert on the planet, what is more terrifying, the heat or the one standing atop the food chain? The answer begins at the bottom, at the lowest tier. At the base of the food chain, one creature lives every day as though it were its last. The desert cottontail. Weighing barely 3 pounds, measuring about 15 inches long, a mobile meal for nearly every predator in the Sonoran. Enormous ears making up 14% of its body size, not for better hearing, but for survival. A dense network of capillaries inside the ears dilates under the heat, radiating body warmth outward. A perfect biological cooling system. Without this mechanism, the blood would boil from within. At dawn and dusk, when temperatures drop just enough, the cottontail leaves its shelter. It moves by hopping from shadow to shadow, shadow hopping as though the ground between 2 patches of shade were lava. Every hop is a life or death calculation. The distance between two shadows, the angle of the sun, the direction of wind carrying enemy scent. Everything eats the desert cottontail, but not everything dares to touch the creature that comes next. The horned lizard, tiny, slow, and looking like a rock with legs. A thorny armor coating its body turns it into a meal that is hard to swallow in the most literal sense. Any predator that tries to gulp down a horned lizard faces dozens of spines jabbing into the roof of its throat. Coloring blends into rock and sand. Thorny armor transforms its body into a fortress. But that is only the first line of defense. When cornered, the horned lizard activates a weapon that no other reptile on the planet possesses. It shoots blood from the corners of its eyes, up to 5 feet. The blood contains a bitter compound that makes coyotes, foxes, and even snakes spit it out and walk away. The most fearsome biological weapon in the desert does not come from fangs or claws, but from the eyes. In the Sonoran chain of fear, the horned lizard proves a principle. Defense is the currency of survival. No need for speed, no need for size. Just be horrifying enough that no one wants to try. But one creature goes even further. It does not defend with blood or thorns. It defends with other creatures' fear. The burrowing owl, the only owl in the Sonoran that lives underground. Averaging about 6 ounces with a wingspan of 20 to 24 inches, the burrowing owl is smaller than a soda can. But do not underestimate it. Unlike every other owl species, the burrowing owl hunts during the day insects, small mice, lizards, anything that fits its beak. Abnormally long legs allow it to run across the ground, a terrestrial hunter in the form of a bird that belongs to the sky. The burrowing owl does not dig burrows. It steals them. Old dens of prairie dogs, desert tortoises, badgers any hole deep enough. And when an enemy approaches the burrow entrance, the burrowing owl produces a sound that makes every desert creature freeze solid. The rattle of a rattlesnake. Not a real rattlesnake, but the burrowing owl perfectly mimicking the hiss of the desert's most feared killer. In the darkness of the burrow, no intruder dares take the risk. "6 ounces, no venomous fangs, no thorny armor, but the burrowing owl has turned fear itself into a weapon." In the chain of fear, the burrowing owl understands something that few species ever grasp sometimes. Pretending to be terrifying is more effective than actually being terrifying. But mimicking a rattlesnake only works when the real thing is not nearby. And in the Sonoran Desert, the rattlesnake is always nearby. From this tier upward, the line between hunter and hunted blurs. Every creature is both the terror of those below and the potential meal of those above. The coyote, the greatest opportunist in the Sonoran Desert. In the Sonoran, coyotes are smaller than their northern cousins, just 25 to 30 pounds. Their grayish-brown coats thinner to shed heat. But smaller size does not mean smaller ambition. Coyotes eat everything: cactus fruit when hungry, rabbits when they find them, lizards when convenient, carrion when no other option remains. Opportunism elevated to an art form. When hunting small prey, the coyote works alone, stealthy, patient, then exploding in a burst, reaching 40 miles per hour. It lurks behind a creosote bush, both ears rotating like radar, nose sweeping the wind. When a cottontail appears 30 feet away, the coyote becomes an arrow. But on the rocky slopes, the coyote loses. Desert bighorn sheep climb at 15 miles per hour, up near vertical cliff faces where no coyote can follow. When the target on the flatlands is larger, they switch to pack tactics. That is where the hunter must constantly look over its shoulder. Before meeting the creature that stands above the coyote, meet the one that proves in the Sonoran. Every predator is somebody else's prey. The greater roadrunner, the fastest running bird in the world that can still fly. Weighing up to about 19 ounces with zygodactyl feet, 2 toes forward, 2 toes back, an evolutionary paradox. A bird with wings that chooses to run. "26 miles per hour on the ground, faster than any other running bird that still retains the ability to take flight." It hunts insects, lizards, mice, and snakes. The showdown between the greater roadrunner and the rattlesnake is one of the most iconic battles in the natural world. The roadrunner does not attack head-on. It provokes, fanning its wings, hopping back and forth, forcing the rattlesnake to strike first. "3 minutes, 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. A war of attrition that the roadrunner always wins because it possesses something the rattlesnake does not: endurance. When the rattlesnake is exhausted, the roadrunner delivers its finishing blow, a precision strike to the head, clamping down and smashing the snake against the rocks until the skull shatters. Speed defeats venom. Technique defeats brute force. But the roadrunner is not invincible. Hawks, eagles, owls, and the coyote itself all consider it a meal. The rattlesnake killer still has to flee the sky. In the chain of fear, the roadrunner proves a harsh truth. There is no such thing as a pure predator. Every attacker is someone else's target. But if speed and technique are the roadrunner's weapons, the next creature chooses an entirely different path. It does not need to be fast, does not need to be agile. It only needs a single drop. The Gila monster, the largest lizard native to the United States, and one of only 2 venomous lizard species in North America. Weighing 3 to 5 pounds, measuring up to 22 inches long, a stocky body covered in orange and black beaded patterns. Aposematic warning, coloration, nature's signal that says, "Do not touch me." The Gila monster moves at the pace of a creature that does not need to hurry, because when you possess venom, haste is unnecessary. Its venom delivery system is entirely different from a snake's. Venom glands sit in the lower jaw, secreting toxin into grooves along the teeth. Venom flows upward by capillary action, and the Gila monster must chew to pump more venom into the wound. That is why it does not let go. Once it bites, it holds tight and chews sometimes for minutes to ensure enough venom soaks in. A thick tail stores massive fat reserves, allowing it to consume a third of its body weight in a single meal and then fast for weeks. Its metabolism is so slow that the Gila monster needs only 3 to 4 large meals per year. The rest of the time, it simply exists. In the chain of fear, the Gila monster is living proof: no speed needed, no size needed, no pack needed. Venom is the great equalizer of the natural world. If you too are captivated by the hidden chain of power in the Sonoran Desert, leave your thoughts in the comments below. But the Gila monster, as fearsome as it is, still moves in daylight, where everything can see it coming. The next creature gives no one that chance. It does not move, it waits. And when the victim comes close enough, everything ends in a quarter of a second. The western diamondback rattlesnake, the invisible assassin of the Sonoran Desert. Diamond patterns along its back blend flawlessly into rock and sand camouflage, so effective that victims often step on it before they realize. A triangular head, vertical elliptical pupils, and an organ that no other reptile in this desert possesses. Heat-sensing pits positioned between the eyes and nostrils, these two small cavities detect temperature differences as slight as 0.02 of a degree Fahrenheit. The rattlesnake's strategy is a masterpiece of patience. Ambush at trail edges or rodent burrow entrances. Lie motionless for hours, for days if necessary. When the prey comes close enough, the strike erupts in under a quarter of a second. Fangs pierce flesh, venom pumps in, then immediate withdrawal. No holding on, no wrestling. Let the venom do its work. Strike, retreat, track, swallow. No wasted energy, no unnecessary risk. Every bite is an investment, and the rattlesnake never invests at a loss. And the rattle, that keratin appendage producing the iconic sound, is not a weapon. It is the final warning. In the sonoran chain of fear, the rattlesnake is fear made audible. The rattle is the sound of death. The thing that makes every creature freeze, every footstep halt, every instinct scream a single word: run. But the rattlesnake's sound, however haunting, is merely a whisper compared to the absolute silence of the one we are about to meet. Because in the Sonoran Desert, where the rattlesnake warns, the coyote howls, and the burrowing owl hisses, true power makes no sound at all. It arrives in silence, and by the time the victim hears it, it is already too late. But before meeting that silent one, meet the creatures. It hunts the largest, most valuable, and most dangerous targets in the Sonoran Desert. The mule deer, the largest prey moving across the Sonoran floor. A mature buck weighs 150 to 300 pounds, an enormous package of protein wrapped in 4 long legs and ears that span 3/4 the length of its head. Those enormous ears, the same heat-dissipating principle as the cottontails, but at 10 times the scale rotate continuously, sweeping sound from every direction. Mule deer are browsers mesquite, jojoba, cactus pads drifting slowly through scrubland and rocky slopes with the footsteps of a creature that knows it is being watched. Because the mule deer is always being watched. When pursued, the mule deer does not run like a rabbit. It stots a bounding gait, where all 4 legs leave the ground simultaneously and land at the same time. Stotting allows the mule deer to reach 45 miles per hour over rough, rocky terrain where any animal running normally would shatter a leg. Broad hooves grip desert rock. Every bound is a perfect physics calculation, angle of impact, force of launch, landing point. In the chain of fear, the mule deer is the grand prize, too heavy to ignore, too fast to catch easily, too valuable for the one at the top to overlook. But the mule deer is not the only ungulate in the Sonoran Desert. The desert bighorn sheep lord of the cliff faces. A mature ram weighs 110 to over 220 pounds. Curling horns weigh up to 30 to 40 pounds, nearly the weight of a full-grown coyote. Split hooves with a hard outer rim and a soft inner pad like natural climbing shoes allow the bighorn to cling to cliff faces that no predator dares follow. They leap across crevasses 7 feet wide, twisting mid-air to land on ledges only inches across. Gravity is their ally and the enemy of anyone who gives chase. Speed on flat ground, 30 miles per hour. Speed on mountain slopes, 15 miles per hour. But on the mountainside, 15 miles per hour is unbeatable. In the chain of fear, the desert bighorn chooses the vertical where the rules of the desert do not apply, where gravity replaces fangs and claws as the line of defense. And now we arrive at the summit. The mountain lion, puma, cougar, panther. 4 names for the same creature, the one who holds the silent throne of the Sonoran Desert. A mature male weighs up to 220 pounds. Amber-green eyes sweep through darkness with vision 6 times sharper than a human's. And it makes no sound at all. In a desert where the rattlesnake warns with its rattle, the coyote declares territory with its howl, and the burrowing owl fakes a hiss, one creature chooses silence. The mountain lion, the only creature that produces no sound whatsoever. Because it does not need to warn anyone. Mating follows no fixed season. Male and female meet briefly, then part ways. Gestation lasts 82 to 96 days. The female raises her cubs alone, just like the cottontail at the bottom of the chain. The summit and the base of the chain of fear, sharing the same burden, raising young in solitude. But there is one difference. The cottontail fears everything. The mountain lion fears nothing. In the chain of fear of the Sonoran Desert, every creature exists at the mountain lion's discretion. Every footstep on the sand, every sound in the night, every breath under the midday sun, all fall within range of a single leap. And the final lesson of the chain of fear, in a desert where the rattlesnake warns, the coyote howls, the burrowing owl hisses, true power is silence. The mountain lion never roars before it strikes, never warns, never negotiates. Silence. That is the sound of the summit. But the chain of fear from the African savanna to the Sonoran Desert, no matter how merciless, now faces a new predator. This one has no fangs, no venom, no claws, but it destroys faster than any species that has ever existed. The mountain lion, the apex of the chain of fear, is being hunted by guns, by traps, by retribution from ranchers who have lost livestock. By trophy hunters paying thousands of dollars for a hide. The Gila monster, the lizard with the desert's most fearsome venom, is listed as a threatened species. Stigma turns it into a target for killing. The exotic pet trade turns it into merchandise. The mule deer, the greatest prize in the food chain, is being severed from its migration corridors by fences, highways, and new housing developments. Paths their ancestors walked for thousands of years are now blocked by concrete. Urbanization devours the desert. Phoenix, Tucson, and dozens of other cities spread like oil stains across the sand. Every year, thousands more acres of desert become parking lots and golf courses. Climate change pushes temperatures higher, rainfall more erratic. The wettest desert on Earth is growing drier. And the creatures that evolved over millions of years to live on the razor's edge between life and death suddenly find that edge shifting. The chain of fear from the Serengeti to the Sonoran has operated for thousands of millennia. On the wild African savanna, there is no room for compassion or chance. Each day is an epic of survival, written by the sun, the wind, and the unforgiving hunt. The warthog, one of the few creatures that truly thrives in the 104-degree Fahrenheit heat. Their bodies lack sweat glands, so they seek out mud as a natural spa therapy, both to cool down and to protect their skin from parasites. This is a sounder of warthogs, formed by resilient mothers and their future generations. This social bond is their first line of defense. Their homes are old burrows, often abandoned by aardvarks. A natural architecture with a biological air conditioning system that helps maintain a stable body temperature amidst the scorching heat. In the wild, innocence is a death sentence. The leopard, a solitary hunter, is a master of the art of stealth. Its coat, with its exquisite rosettes, allows it to merge perfectly with the savanna's dry, withered vegetation. It approaches in absolute silence, every muscle coiled like a compressed spring, and its padded paws allow it to move without making the slightest sound. Its target is a warthog, an abundant source of energy and protein. The dry season causes the prey's distinct scent to travel farther, guiding the hunter The leopard knows it has only one chance. The attack must target the nape of the neck, the fatal weak point where the spinal cord meets the skull. A single, precise, and powerful bite will end the struggle quickly. If it attacks the body or legs, the warthog can still fight back. Its tusks, though short, are as sharp as daggers and are not for show. The lower tusks, constantly sharpened against the upper pair, form a lethal weapon, ready for a defensive thrust that can tear through an enemy's flesh. The hunt begins. The leopard lunges, and after a brief but intense chase, it delivers the decisive bite. The struggle is over almost instantly. But the hunt is not yet finished. The scent of fresh blood quickly attracts other opportunists. The branches become an aerial larder, a safe place that few other predators can reach. Here, among the leaves, the leopard can finally enjoy the rewards of a perfect hunt, a testament to its power, patience, and masterful skill. But is the warthog truly a helpless prey? This pack of African wild dogs will give us the answer. They are the marathon runners of the savanna, and their hunting success rate of up to 80% is the highest among Africa's predators. And that reputation is not an empty boast. Even as a pack, they hesitate before those sharp tusks. The warthog knows that the dry season and the midday sun are a predator's weaknesses. Its breathing is still ragged, but within it lies a resilient pride. It has survived to fight another day. The dry season is tightening its grip on the savanna. The grasses wither. The water holes are shrinking. Yet the warthog seems to defy this rule. They use their snouts and tusks to dig, searching for roots, dried tubers, and withered grass food sources that many other species ignore. They can also endure many days without water, reducing activity at midday to conserve energy. But today, it has reached its limit. This waterhole is either a savior or a deadly trap where predators lie in wait. Few predators dare to risk hunting by day, but the cheetah is different. It was born for speed and sunlight. The black, tear-like streaks under their eyes not only absorb the glaring light, but also help them focus on a moving target with high precision, much like the black stripes athletes wear under their eyes. The Ferrari of the natural world is on the move. Its lightweight skeleton, flexible spine, and enormous lungs are all designed for a single purpose: explosive speed. Hunger quickly returns after the brief meal, forcing the cheetah to hunt again. Speed comes at the cost of energy, and it must constantly refuel. But the warthog mother is now hardened by loss. She will not lose another of her young. The cheetah is exhausted, its body is overheating. After a short chase, its body temperature can rise to dangerous levels. Only water can save it now, but the dry riverbed offers no mercy. Family ties have their limits. At 2 years of age, young male warthogs are driven from the sounder. This prevents inbreeding and forces them to seek their The dry season in the southern Serengeti is still a fertile sanctuary. From the north, millions of wildebeest and zebra are undertaking the Great Migration. They journey relentlessly, following the rains and the green pastures. But it is not just food that awaits them. The thunder of hooves has awakened the proud rulers. The lions are ready. The harsh dry season is an advantage, helping them conceal themselves perfectly in the yellowed vegetation. A single male lion can consume up to 88 pounds of meat in one sitting. So small, isolated prey is never enough for the whole pride. The lions begin to set a trap based on their age-old knowledge of the terrain. While the powerful males stay behind to protect the territory, the lionesses are the elite hunters. They coordinate with the precision of a true army, targeting the dense herds of zebra. However, the savanna holds another formidable opponent, the African buffalo. A lion's feast does not always go as planned. The spotted hyena. Do not call them cowardly thieves that live only on carrion. That would be an insult, as 90% of their food comes from their own hunts, thanks to their endurance and bone-crushing jaws. The other 10% is today's case. This frenzied mob with its characteristic chilling laugh, knows no fear. The lowly subjects robbing the king. But arrogance is always the sweetest poison before the fall. Hyenas may intimidate a queen, but against the true king, any who dare claim victory are both foolish and proud. For a male lion, kingship is not a gift. It must be earned through blood. The tragedy begins within the family itself. At the age of 3, young males are driven into a life of exile by their own father. Cast out, they wander through unclaimed lands where survival is the only lesson. It is in this crucible of hardship that brotherly coalitions are forged. And then, stronger, more ruthless, they return. Not for a reunion, but for an overthrow. The battle for the throne is a lightning storm. The lion is a sprinter, not a marathon runner. Its body is designed for a devastating burst of power, not a prolonged fight. Every second counts. If the first attack fails, energy is depleted. The body overheats. The victor takes all. The loser, if he survives, vanishes into the shadows. The savanna has a new king. But the crown is never worn in peace. Because here, the cycle of power is eternal. From the other side, the warthog has realized that the pride has reached the limits of its exhaustion and disunity. Appearing in the open before the starving predators is just the first step in its plan. A series of secret escapes, burrows known only to it, is the real key. The tactic of misdirection has been activated. This is not a suicidal act, but pure provocation, a battle of wits. A lion's speed always surpasses a warthog's. But look at the sun. The midday heat is draining the hunter's strength. What we see now is more helplessness and confusion than anger. Panting, exhausted. That is the image of the tyrants now. The news will soon travel on the wind. Today, the uncrowned kings have become a laughingstock in this arid, unforgiving land. Even those who lurk beneath the water, like the hippopotamus, have heard of this humiliation. That has truly infuriated the lion. Even while drinking, it cannot escape the provocations of an unexpected rival. But the hippopotamus has never been one to be trifled with. They may seem placid, but they are among the most dangerous and aggressive animals in Africa. The lion's attitude has been noted by the giant. And the hippopotamus is intelligent enough to know where the lion's weakness lies. In the water, its territory. Just by approaching the water's edge, everything could collapse. No creature can survive without water, and now that life source is controlled by a formidable adversary. The lions, once again, retreat in silence, awaiting a day of revenge. This time, it will require more patience and strategy. Sometimes, nature softens with gentle rains and cool waters, and fortunes change once more. In other parts of Africa, creation has bestowed life upon those who are worthy. The Chobe River, a ribbon of blue winding through arid lands, is the lifeblood of an entire region. This is the kingdom of the African elephant, with the highest density on the continent. These giants stand up to 10 feet tall and weigh 6.5 tons, yet they move with a remarkable serenity. Every part of their body is a masterpiece of adaptation. Their enormous ears are a sophisticated cooling system. The trunk, with over 40,000 muscle bundles, is an incredibly versatile tool, powerful enough to fell a tree, yet delicate enough to pick a single berry. And their tusks are keys to survival, used to dig for water or strip bark from trees. But their true strength lies in their bonds. Each herd is a complex matriarchal society led by a wise older female. Her phenomenal memory guides the herd along ancient trails to water, knowledge passed down through generations. They communicate using infrasonic sounds that humans cannot hear, vibrations that travel through the ground, connecting them across miles. By shaping the landscape, they act as the ecological engineers of this land. Yet, their future is fragile. With a gestation period of nearly 2 years, their rate of reproduction is incredibly slow. This fact, along with other threats, has placed this magnificent species on the near-threatened list. The African buffalo is also present, a silent warrior of steadfast build and calm strength. They are a symbol of Africa's resilience. Mature males are distinguished by horns that can span over 3 feet, with a base in the middle of the forehead as hard as concrete, known as a boss. This structure is both a protective shield and a symbol of authority in confrontations. However, behind that robust exterior lies a precisely organized society. Large herds can exceed 1,000 individuals, led by experienced females. Though weighing nearly 2,000 pounds, they swim with the skill of professional athletes. The Chobe River is not a barrier, but a corridor of life. Each day, a buffalo can drink up to 9 gallons of water, making this an essential point of recovery. Within the herd, when a decision on direction is needed, buffalo do not command with sound. They simply vote. Each female will stand and look in the direction she wishes to go. When a majority agrees, the entire herd moves as one. A silent but remarkably precise and effective form of democracy. In contrast to the majestic build of the buffalo, the spotted hyena is much smaller, yet it is a formidable presence and one of Africa's most intelligent animals. With powerful jaws and a bite force of 1,000 pounds stronger than a lion's, it can crush bones 2 inches thick to extract every nutrient. Its digestive system is so efficient it can process both bone and hoof, utilizing almost the entire carcass of its prey. Stamina is another advantage. They can maintain a speed of 6 miles per hour for hours on end to exhaust their prey. When necessary, they can accelerate to 37 miles per hour. Spotted hyenas live in close-knit, matriarchal clans that can number up to 80 individuals. A lead female, the matriarch, governs the group, defining a social structure in which females are absolutely dominant. Hyenas work together, employing clever strategies to take down wildebeest, zebra, and even buffalo calves. Their communication is distinctive. They emit calls that sound like laughter when stressed or excited, along with 11 other types of vocalizations. This species' flexible intelligence in cooperation and problem-solving is comparable to that of some primates. High above, silent figures also glide across the sky, nature's undertakers, sharing a common destiny. The marabou stork, with its slate-grey plumage and strange appearance, is nicknamed the Undertaker bird. Standing up to 5 feet tall and weighing up to 20 pounds, the marabou is one of the largest storks on the planet. An average wingspan of 8.5 feet allows it to soar on the hot air thermals, rising from the plains with little effort. Its featherless head and neck are an ideal adaptation for hygiene, keeping it clean while feeding on carrion. Marabou feed on the carcasses of buffalo, zebra, and wildebeest, helping to cleanse the environment and prevent the spread of disease. They often arrive after the lions and wait patiently for the leftovers. They also actively hunt fish, frogs, and even small birds when the opportunity arises. From the sub-Saharan savannas to the swamps and riverbanks, they are a testament to nature's incredible adaptability. Beneath the call of the fish eagle, the majestic form of the Angolan giraffe glides silently by. They rise like living towers over the landscape. Their height ranges from 13 to 20 feet, with their necks alone measuring 6.5 to 8 feet long. Even at birth, a calf is already about 6.5 feet tall and can stand and run within an hour. To pump blood all the way to their brain, their heart must be incredibly powerful, weighing up to 24 pounds. Giraffes live in fluid groups of 5 to 20 individuals, a loose social structure that changes with the seasons and food availability. They prefer leaves, buds, and young branches, especially from acacia species. With a prehensile tongue up to 18 inches long, dark in color to prevent sunburn, they can navigate through sharp thorns without injury. Each day, an adult consumes about 75 pounds of vegetation, clearing the way for other species to reach the lower canopy. However, their story has not always been one of hope. In the late 20th century, as a consequence of prolonged civil wars and uncontrolled poaching, the Angolan giraffe population declined to an alarming level. It was estimated at the time that only a few thousand individuals remained, and they had vanished completely from many parts of their historic range. But then, an extraordinary effort changed their fate. Conservation organizations, working closely with governments like Namibia and Botswana, launched decisive action plans. Anti-poaching campaigns were intensified. Most importantly, reintroduction programs were implemented. And the results have surpassed all expectations. By 2024, the Angolan giraffe population had rebounded to some 20,200 individuals in the wild. This is a story of profound hope, born from reintroduction programs and tireless conservation efforts. Under the watchful eyes of the giants, herds of agile impala glide across the dew-kissed grass. Their reddish-brown coats glow against the grey-green landscape, like the gentle yet vibrant pulse of dawn. In the males, the lyre-shaped horns are a striking feature. They can grow up to 3 feet long, elegantly curved and strong, weapons for the battles over mating rights. When they sense danger, they can accelerate to 50 miles per hour. Sometimes they leap up to 10 feet high and 30 feet forward in a single bound, an astonishing athletic display. The behavior known as pronking, where they jump on all 4 feet at once, is a message of survival, a warning to the herd, and a show of fitness to discourage a predator. The social life of the impala is organized by season. From April to June, the breeding season begins. Mature males establish territories and form harems. Territorial disputes become fierce, the clash of horns echoing across the plains. They can both graze like open plains, herbivores, and browse on leaves. This dietary flexibility is one of the secrets to their resilience during the harsh, dry season. The cycle of life we have just witnessed has been playing out for millions of years. A perfect balance, built on the harsh but fair laws of nature. From gentle giants like elephants and giraffes to the apex predators, every creature plays an irreplaceable role. And yet, this grand stage is facing greater challenges than ever before. Their existence no longer depends solely on speed or strength, but on the decisions we make. The success story of the Angolan giraffe is a hopeful testament that it is not too late. To protect this wild world is to protect our planet's most precious heritage, to preserve this epic of life for all the generations to come. Before dawn breaks over the dense woodlands of Kruger National Park, a toxic shadow stands motionless amidst the high canopy. A female leopard, the ultimate icon of mystery and fluid grace, is on the prowl. In the world of the leopard, trees are far more than mere resting places. They are watchtowers, fortresses, and launching pads for lightning-fast ambushes. Draped in the geometry of shadows, her rosettes break the very outlines of her being. She does not merely hide, she becomes the forest itself. Through eyes of liquid amber, she reads the silent language of the grass, waiting for a single heartbeat to falter. Beneath the foliage, a herd of impala drifts slowly into range. Every footfall is light, as if danger were absent from this hushed morning. She is tense, her muscles coiled and primed for action. The leopard drags her prize into the deep shade, then, with extraordinary strength, hauls it high into the canopy. There she will feed in seclusion, beyond the reach of hyenas and other opportunistic thieves. Solitude is no weakness. It is the very essence of the leopard's power. On the immense grasslands of the savanna, lions manifest as masters of concealment. With their powerful bodies and sandy-colored coats, they are easily camouflaged in the dry grass. The male lion is distinguished by his majestic mane, both a symbol of power and a layer of protection in battle. The lioness, with her sleeker and more agile form, often plays the primary role in the hunt. They are master strategists. The foundation of the pride is a steadfast alliance of related lionesses. Meanwhile, the dominant males, with their superior strength, assume the role of protectors, shielding the territory and the pride's future from intruders. Lionesses are responsible for hunting and raising the next generation. They often hunt in coordinated groups to bring down large prey like buffalo. This time, their quarry is a moving herd of buffalo. The pride moves silently through the scorched grass, every gaze fixed on the target. A buffalo unwittingly separates from the herd. Instantly, the attack begins. The lions face fierce resistance. But the strength of one is no match for the power of many. Today, the buffalo has become a feast for the pride. As the heavy footsteps of the buffalo herd pass, the savanna reveals a different rhythm of life, gentler yet ever vigilant. The African elephant, a symbol of absolute power. Their bodies are like moving boulders, with the largest males reaching heights of up to 13 feet and weighing over 6 tons. Their thick skin is like a suit of armor, and their curved tusks are both tools and a statement of status. Elephants typically live in herds led by an older, experienced female. They share an incredibly strong bond, collectively protecting their young and sharing memories of fertile lands. At a distant lake on the African savanna, it is the cheetah, the king of speed on this savanna. She and her cubs have been without food for 2 days. Today, the mother cheetah has seen a glimmer of hope. If she cannot bring back food, her cubs will starve to death. When the Thompson's gazelles finish drinking, the leader guides the herd to graze. The cheetah takes advantage of the moment when no prey is watching to draw closer. A gazelle startles, and the entire grassland shifts. The chase begins. In a moment of life and death, an unlucky gazelle has fallen. The cheetah's cubs have been saved. This is the unforgiving law of the great savanna. The fallen weak will nourish another. Life goes on day by day. The weak must struggle with death each day in exchange for breath. Leaving behind the burning sun and the fierce hunts of the African savanna, if we seek a definition of absolute power, nowhere is it clearer than in the society of the lion. Unlike most predators who choose a life of stealth, lions are the emperors of cooperation, ruling the savanna with an iron discipline. Their method of killing requires no subtlety or stealth. It is a direct, overwhelming assault of weight and numbers. A bite to the throat to lock down the target, amplified by the weight of multiple individuals bearing down on the victim. It is a slow, inescapable sentence of suffocation. A pride of lions operates like a war machine. The driver, the ambusher, and the finisher. Every action is coordinated with cold precision. This is the brutal socialization of nature, where the strength of one is multiplied to create an undeniable dominance. But on the other side of the hemisphere, where the water is waist deep, this pack rule would be rendered meaningless. Lying in the heart of South America, millions of years ago, a great tectonic shift gave birth to a masterpiece of creation. The Andes, majestic walls of rock, suddenly rose, altering the course of ancient rivers. The water was trapped, with no escape, and the Pantanal, a vast floodplain, was born. But the Pantanal is not a land of peace. Beneath the mud, amidst floods and droughts, nature is in a constant state of rebirth. Covering up to 75,000 square miles, The Pantanal is home to over 4,700 species of plants and animals. This wetland has the highest density of jaguars and caimans in the world. The Pantanal is a different world, where everything depends on the rhythm of two seasons, wet and dry. When the rainy season arrives, 80% of the Pantanal is submerged. But when the rains cease, the Pantanal reveals another face, a season of trial and adaptation. Thunder rumbles, the air holds its breath. The first drops of rain touch the ground, followed by torrential downpours. The water rises, flooding the fields and seeping into the dense forest. Schools of fish swim joyfully in the new water, while flocks of birds return from afar. Life does not just begin, it explodes in a dance of brilliant colors. This is also when the predators prepare for their feast. Amidst the rising waters, a pod of giant otters appears like arrows, breaking the still surface. This is when the giant otters are busier than ever. They are not silent like the jaguar, nor discreet like the anaconda. Their presence is lively and full of energy. With a body that can be nearly 6 feet long from nose to tail tip, the giant otter is not only the largest species in the weasel family, but also the undisputed ruler of the Pantanal's rivers. Their strength lies not just in their size, but in their social structure. A giant otter family typically has 5 to 10 members, led by an alpha pair. Without the need for complex signals, a quick exchange of glances is enough for the entire pod to act in concert. Each member takes its position and role with precision. The small fish panic as they are herded towards the bank. The young otters, with the eagerness of apprentices, wait like living traps. A powerful leap breaks the water's surface, capturing a large catfish struggling in desperation. The otter family's feast begins. But life in the Pantanal is not always peaceful. The black caiman is not only a formidable predator, but also the giant otter's mortal enemy. The alpha male is always vigilant. It raises its head high and lets out a sharp cry, gathering the pod into a tight defensive formation. These calls are not just alarms, they are a complex language. Each giant otter has its own unique voice, a distinct auditory identity. They can communicate everything from urgent warnings to gentle calls to reassure their young. Within a family, they can recognize the call of each member, just as we recognize the voices of our loved ones. It is not just a pack, it is a society built on sound. In the depths, the hunter becomes the hunted. A fearsome school of piranhas does not expect that a giant otter can turn them into lunch. For the giant otter, piranhas are not a challenge. With just a few precise snaps, the piranhas are caught by teeth no less sharp. Piranhas can grow up to 20 inches long. The red-bellied piranha, in particular, is known to be the most aggressive. Their most dangerous weapon is their razor-sharp teeth. In a feeding frenzy, those teeth can tear a large piece of flesh in seconds. However, piranhas are not always the predators. They are also known as the cleaners of the ecosystem, feeding on animal carcasses and injured fish, helping to purify the water. Just beneath the murky water, a silent predator has emerged. It does not need to hurry, but when it strikes, no creature can escape its deadly embrace. The anaconda, the world's largest snake, is a legendary symbol of the Pantanal. With a length that can reach up to 26 feet and a weight of over 220 pounds, the anaconda is like a giant phantom hiding in the rivers. Its natural camouflage blends with the vegetation and mud, giving it an absolute advantage, especially at night. The leaves rustle as small, nimble feet move across the damp ground. It is a troop of coyotes, appearing like a group of enthusiastic explorers. After the first rains, their black and white striped tails are held high, signaling a day of lively activity. One climbs a rotting log, using its sharp claws to find insects. Another smells ripe fruit on a high branch and quickly leaps up. But coyotes are not just explorers. They play a fundamental role in the ecosystem. As they move, they drop and disperse the seeds of the fruits they have eaten. These seeds fall to the ground, are nourished by the moist soil of the rainy season, and will soon sprout. However, even amidst the liveliness, danger lurks. A fleeting movement in the undergrowth. Perhaps a jaguar. The entire troop of coyotes quickly gathers, forming a defensive circle. An alarm call rings out, a warning to other creatures in the forest. Above the winding rivers, another creature reigns in its own domain. From on high, a harpy eagle watches in silence, ready for a perfect hunt. With a wingspan exceeding 6.5 feet, the harpy eagle soars like a phantom in the sky. Its sharp eyes scan the dense canopy. Below, a troop of capuchin monkeys plays carelessly among the branches, completely unaware of the danger lurking above. The harpy eagle targets its prey, a small monkey slightly separated from the troop. It is engrossed with a ripe fruit, a moment of carelessness, and its position is revealed. Then the harpy eagle dives from a height of nearly 100 feet at a speed of up to 50 miles per hour. Everything happens in an instant. Returning to its nest on the highest treetop, the harpy eagle lands gently. This is not just food, this is the first lesson for the next generation. The harpy eagle is the ruler of the Pantanal sky, a crucial link in balancing the ecosystem. The rains have ceased, and the dry season arrives as a harsh test. The once roaring rivers of the rainy season now shrink to small pools. The scorching heat envelops the air. Every creature must struggle to find the most precious resource: water. The vegetation turns a yellowish brown. The animals are forced to gather around the last remaining pools. These are not just sources of life, but also fierce battlegrounds, where the strong prevail and the weak are quickly eliminated. The heat has ignited the jaguar's brutality and endurance. Its golden, rosette-spotted coat blends perfectly with the withered vegetation. Its golden eyes are fixed on its target. An unwary capybara. If the jaguar is the lord of the land, then in the water no one can contest the throne of the Yakare caiman. With an estimated population of about 10 million, this wetland nurtures the largest crocodilian population on the planet. They do not need to hide. Their presence is the law. With a body length that can reach nearly 10 feet, the Yakare caiman is a perfect master of camouflage. Almost invisible in the murky water, they reveal only their small, gleaming eyes and nostrils, the only senses that break the still surface. The caiman's main weapon is absolute patience, a hunting strategy honed over millions of years of evolution. A school of fish swims by, perhaps piranhas or catfish. The caiman does not rush. Its small eyes follow every movement, registering the slightest vibration on the water's surface. The silence stretches on. Then suddenly, chaos erupts. With a bite of extreme force, reaching thousands of newtons, it snaps up the largest fish. It all happens in an instant. Soon after, everything returns to silence, leaving only gentle ripples and a predator with a full stomach. But life in the Pantanal is an unforgiving cycle. When the dry season arrives and the water sources dry up, the caiman displays a unique survival strategy, completely different from its active hunting behavior. During the dry season, when the water dries up, the caiman displays a unique survival strategy. They bury themselves in the damp mud, lower their heart rate to just a few beats per minute, and enter a state of temporary hibernation, patiently waiting for the first rains to return. the dry season becomes an unforgiving battlefield. One of the most notable warriors of this land is the capybara, which demonstrates its strength and endurance in a quiet way. With a length of up to 4 feet and an average weight of 110 pounds, the capybara is a substantial meal, making it a prime target for jaguars, anacondas, and caimans. But their greatest weapon is not their size, but the unity of their herd. A predator never faces a lone individual, but a wall of vigilance. Living in groups is the capybara's optimal defensive strategy. While some members stand guard, upright on high ground to scan the horizon, the rest can rest or forage in peace. It is an effective biological security system. More eyes, more chances of survival. When threatened, their first tactic is to retreat into the water. They are not just good swimmers. Capybaras are excellent divers, capable of staying underwater for up to 5 minutes, completely disappearing from the sight of terrestrial predators. However, it is this amphibious lifestyle that has created a puzzling phenomenon. A complex relationship with the Yacaré caiman. It is not uncommon to see a giant caiman resting just a few feet away from a herd of capybaras. This strange coexistence is not friendship, but a strategic compromise. The relationship between the capybara and the caiman is both fascinating and unpredictable. It is not uncommon to see a caiman resting near a herd of capybaras. However, This coexistence can turn into conflict in the blink of an eye. Amidst this challenging landscape, a small predator leaves its silent mark. The bush dog, also known as the vinegar dog, its size is that of a small terrier, but do not let its appearance fool you. Its reddish-brown coat blends perfectly with the dry earth and foliage. It moves stealthily, making almost no sound. The bush dog cannot compare in individual strength to the jaguar or the caiman, but they compensate for their small size with collective intelligence and perfect pack coordination. In an environment where water and land merge, flexibility is essential. The bush dog is a master of amphibious adaptation. Look at their feet, they are webbed. This structure allows them to swim with skill and agility, a rare trait among canids. During a hunt, they can use the shallow waters as a strategic shortcut, chasing prey into the river, while other members wait on the bank to head it off. The true strength of the bush dog lies not in its physical attributes, but in the cohesion and synchronicity of its pack. A typical pack consists of 3 to 12 individuals. They are persistent hunters, working together as a single unit. They do not just chase their prey, they drive it into natural traps, a ravine, a waterhole, or a fallen log. Their non-verbal communication is swift and precise. When attacking, the lead dog may act as a decoy, while another member secretly approaches from behind. Unlike the solitary jaguar or the lion that overwhelms with brute force, the bush dog is a perfect example of how collective intelligence overcomes any physical challenge. They prove a simple but brutal truth of nature. Sometimes, what matters most is not how big you are, but how well you work as a team. Amidst the giants of the Pantanal, this small predator has found a way to dominate. A clap of thunder, the first drops of rain fall. Each drop soaks into the dry mud like a blessing sent to this land. The smell of wet earth fills the air like a hymn of thanksgiving from nature to the Almighty Creator. The grass begins to grow. The palm trees that had shed their leaves now sprout fresh green shoots. This is not just the rebirth of nature, but a testament to patience and faith. Amidst the arid forest of the Pantanal, a clear, bell-like call rings out. Then they appear. A pair of large parrots soars across the sky, an unmistakable symbol of survival in this place. This is the hyacinth macaw, the largest parrot in the world. With a length of up to 3 feet from beak to tail tip, this giant bird is truly a magnificent sight. Their brilliant blue plumage is not just for beauty, it is the color of adaptation, helping them to blend into the blue sky and dark green foliage. But this beauty hides an incredible strength. Their diet revolves around hard palm nuts, nuts with shells so tough they are almost impenetrable. Even a hammer would struggle to crack them. However, the powerful beak of the hyacinth macaw, considered one of the strongest in the avian world, can crush these protective layers with ease. This strength is not just for survival, it plays an essential role in the ecosystem. While foraging, they drop or carry nuts far away. These seeds, when naturally dispersed, will sprout and help to restore and enrich the surrounding forests and grasslands. The hyacinth macaw does not just eat, they are the effective gardeners of the Pantanal. Known for their sociable nature and loyalty, hyacinth macaws form strong, lifelong bonds with their mates. They fly, forage, and rest in pairs or small flocks, demonstrating cohesion and mutual care. Their physical resilience and social loyalty have helped them to survive. The hyacinth macaw is truly a blue gem, a fragile symbol of beauty and strength in this wetland. The Pantanal, the world's largest wetland, was once considered a paradise of life. However, today, this place is not only a symbol of rich life, but also a battlefield where nature and humanity confront each other in an unequal fight. In the last 50 years, the Pantanal has lost 17% of its total area. In recent years, the Pantanal has faced increasingly severe droughts, culminating in devastating wildfires that have burned millions of acres. In this harsh context, the iconic creatures of the Pantanal also face immense difficulties. The hyacinth macaw is also struggling to find the palm trees that provide its main food source. For specialized species like the hyacinth macaw, the decline of the palm trees, their primary food source, is creating an invisible survival pressure. Prolonged droughts have made the Pantanal's forests more susceptible to fire. In 2023, over 2,500 fires were recorded in the first half of the year alone. Amidst the sea of fire, the jaguar has lost much of its territory. The horrific wildfires not only destroy habitats, they also erase movement corridors, isolating jaguar populations and pushing them into fiercer conflicts over the remaining resources. The forests of the Pantanal are disappearing at an alarming rate. In the last 5 years, over 2,500 square miles of forest have been converted to soybean cultivation and cattle ranching. Water, once a source of life, has now become a threat. The rivers of the Pantanal are being polluted by chemicals from agriculture and mining. The Pantanal is a magical gift that creation has bestowed upon the earth. Even amidst the darkness of drought, wildfires, and human encroachment, there are tireless efforts to protect and preserve life. In the vast Pantanal, nature reserves stand as fortresses of life. Modern technology has become an important tool. Satellites are used to monitor wildfires and changes in vegetation. The Pantanal is not just Brazil's issue but a global trend. International organizations have collaborated with the Brazilian government and local communities. One of the most notable achievements is the recovery of the giant otter population, a species that was once on the brink of extinction. When humans act with faith and determination, nothing is impossible. Under the soft twilight of the Cape Floristic region, the African penguin, the only penguin species, Known for its donkey-like braying, they live along the coast, nesting in the sand. Upon reaching reproductive maturity, the foundation of the pair is a monogamous relationship. The female lays 1 or 2 eggs, and both male and female take turns incubating them. After hatching, the chicks are carefully protected by both parents, who go out at dawn. However, food scarcity, particularly of anchovies and sardines, due to overfishing. According to censuses in 2023 and 2024, the total number of breeding pairs has dropped to about 9,900. This sharp downward trend, nearly 8% per year, has placed the species in the critically endangered category. Current conservation efforts focus on establishing no-take marine zones near the coast. Under the delicate morning mist of the Cape Floristic region, as the echoes of the African penguin colonies fade. The Cape Grisbok, an antelope endemic to the Fynbos region, chooses a survival strategy. Small and silent, rarely exceeding 22 pounds, with a light brown coat flecked with white. This species has solitary habits, often foraging at night to avoid predators. Also in this region, the chacma baboon, Africa's largest monkey, has developed a survival strategy. Living in large troops on the forest edges and on cliffs, they climb with ease. On the Cape Peninsula, many baboons have been recorded opening car doors or wandering near tourist areas. Their diverse foraging ability is admirable. Their diet includes both native and exotic plants, with dispersal over 3 miles. However, the relationship between baboons and humans is fraught with conflict. There are still many cases of hunting, shooting with live ammunition, and illegal monitoring. Behavioral analysis shows that after episodes of human-induced violence, baboons change their habits. This can negatively affect the troop's structure and their reproductive success. Baboon troops have a complex social system. They sleep in groups on high cliffs, and at dawn, all individuals wake and move. Among the lower levels of the forest, as the Chakma baboon troop retreats into the shade of the rocks, the Cape sugarbird, a nectar-feeding bird endemic to the Finbos ecosystem, with its elegant long tail. It glides gently among protea blossoms, sipping sweet nectar and inadvertently carrying pollen. Through this behavior, the sugarbird becomes a crucial link in the natural pollination chain. Data from 2024 shows this species is the primary agent, enabling over 70% of protea plants. Each day, a single individual can visit over 300 flowers, creating a vast cross-pollination network. Despite possessing one of the world's richest ecosystems, South Africa currently faces a series of alarming threats. Rhino poaching shows no sign of abating. In the first quarter of 2025, 103 individuals were slaughtered, mostly in national reserves. The black market price for rhino horn now reaches $60,000 per 2.2 pounds. Wildfires are another danger, increasing in both frequency and intensity. On the Cape Peninsula alone, in January 2024, over 62,000 acres of forest were consumed by fire. Studies show that an average of 9% of the fynbos and mixed shrubland vegetation burns. Meanwhile, the boom in ecotourism over the past decade, though generating significant revenue, on the savanna, life is alone. A single breath extinguished, so that 1,000 others may begin. Death is not an end. It is a transference. Blood is spilt to write the next chapter for a future generation. The eternal cycle begins. Under the fierce African midday sun, life itself seems to pause. The air, thick and shimmering with heat, turns the horizon into a watery mirage. The sun, a dominant orb of fire, scorches the earth, compelling most creatures to seek sanctuary. This is a time of silence, of waiting, a time of conservation, when the whole savanna seems to hold its breath beneath the weight of the day. A pride of lions is at rest. Leading them is a veteran female, her body a living map of countless hunts and battles for survival. Each scar etched upon her weathered face tells a story of courage and of loss. She does not hunt for herself. Behind her, sheltered by the dense thicket, lies the next generation. The cubs, carefree and playful, are as yet unaware of the harshness of the world they have entered. Their very existence depends entirely on their mother's skill, her experience, and her eventual success. Hunger, a primal and relentless driver, now stirs within her. The pride has not had a significant meal in nearly 3 days. Energy is dwindling. The pressure is mounting. As the sun begins its slow descent, a subtle change ripples across the plain. The searing heat yields to a gentle, cooling breeze. The transition is more than a change of light. It is a shift in power. The stage is being set for the drama of dusk. With a soft, almost inaudible grunt, the command is given. The other members, younger and stronger, understand instantly. They rise and stretch, muscles rippling beneath tawny coats. The hunt has begun. Their coordination is a symphony of instinct, honed over thousands of generations. Not a sound is uttered, yet each individual knows its precise role. They are not merely hunters, they are the architects of the ambush. A herd of plain zebra, their striped coats, one of nature's most curious displays of camouflage. Contrary to common belief, the stripes are not for blending in with the grasslands. They create an optical illusion known as dazzle camouflage, making it difficult for a predator to single out an individual from the chaotic mass once they begin to move. But the lead stallion does not rely on illusions. He relies on his acute senses. His ears can detect the snap of a twig from hundreds of yards away. His sense of smell can detect the scent of a lion from a great distance, should the wind turn. He is the herd's early warning system. The old lioness knows this. She has faced such sentinels countless times. She knows that patience is not merely a virtue, it is the ultimate weapon. And then, the one thing every hunter fears, a sudden gust of wind. A betrayal by the very air. The scent of the predator, however faint, has been delivered. The lead stallion's head snaps up. He sounds a piercing alarm snort. In a fraction of a second, tranquility becomes pandemonium. The chase is over before it has truly begun. Precious energy has been wasted, an opportunity lost. This is the unforgiving reality of life on the savanna. As they move across a more open expanse, a strange, almost maniacal cackle. The spotted hyena. Often dismissed as opportunistic scavengers, the truth is quite different. They are supremely effective hunters, with a bite force powerful enough to crush bone. Their societies are ruled by females in a complex and ruthless matriarchy. And they are the lion's ancient enemy. The competition between these two species is one of Africa's oldest and most bitter rivalries. They do not just compete for food, they compete for territory, for power, and for the right to exist. It seems these sworn enemies share a common goal. A Cape buffalo, nicknamed the Black Death. It is one of the few prey animals that will readily stand and fight a lion. Its boss of horns is a formidable defensive weapon, and its temperament is notoriously unpredictable. A full herd can easily repel a lion attack. But this buffalo is alone, and he is old. An injury has given him a limp in his gait, slowing his pace. He has separated himself from the safety of the herd, and in that moment, he has sealed his fate. Both lions and hyenas have realized this. A tense standoff unfolds in silence. Who will make the first move? The old lioness does not hesitate. Her decision is made. This time, the attack must be faultless. She signals the pride, and they begin to silently encircle their prey. The decisive moment hangs in the air. The entire savanna seems to hold its breath. As heat blankets the grasslands of Kruger and the sun parches the earth, massive, dark forms begin to stir. These are neither lions nor elephants. These are Cape buffalo, horned titans that command caution from even the most seasoned predator. They move like a disciplined army in a tight, impenetrable formation. Each weighs nearly 2,000 pounds, their dark hides shimmering, horns curving like the iron helms of ancient warriors. They are no docile grazers, despite their appearance. Beneath that thick hide beats a heart that refuses to yield. They guard the collective as if life itself depends upon their unity. Calves huddle at the center, shielded by the herd. At the fringes, dominant bulls stand sentry, ready to charge into battle at a moment's notice. A lone lioness watches, mesmerized by the raw power radiating from those steel-like horns. She is fascinated by the raw strength of their spiraled, iron-hard weaponry. The lioness was badly wounded. It was a bitter lesson. Never confront the Cape buffalo alone. She is not the first predator to retreat before them, and she certainly will not be the last. The herd continues its journey as a mobile fortress, unglamorous and quiet, yet possessed of an unshakable resolve. As the sun begins to bake the Kalahari, a mob of meerkats emerges, standing tall like miniature sentinels. Tiny and nimble, they thrive in tight-knit clans, where every individual has a vital duty. They are renowned for their sophisticated system of vocal alarms. At the first warning from a sentinel, the entire mob abandons everything to vanish into the safety of the burrow. In a land of hawks and cobras, unity is the only way to survive. But not every alarm is genuine. Nearby, a fork-tailed drongo, a master of mimicry, watches. He imitates the meerkat's alarm, a perfect and calculated deception. He even varies his calls, imitating eagles or snakes, to ensure the meerkats never grow accustomed to his trickery. Sometimes they will imitate the sound of an eagle, other times the sound of a snake, a truly astonishing display of cunning. With one false cry, panic spreads. The meerkats abandon their hard-earned feast. Instead, they stand guard for the collective, even at the cost of their own hunger.